Welcome everyone. I am here with Sherry and Samridhi. Today we're going to talk about all things personal branding. Samridhi, do you want to kick us off?
Yes, sure. Glad to be here, Jeremy. So I'd like to start with what most people get wrong about personal branding. Instead of standing out, which is the goal, they end up blending in, which is like absolutely counterproductive and the opposite of it. Like majority of the profiles that I come across, they have absolutely no basis. Their content, it's packed with generic tips, borrowed credibility, recycled insights. Their comments are AI generated. Their profiles, they aren't optimized. That's not how you build thought leadership online. The real essence that lies in your authenticity, your personal credibility and defensibility. Sherry and I, we have closely worked with over 30 B2B founders, and where they miss the mark is that they aren't telling stories. And what I mean by stories is their founder story, their brand story, their product story. Most of their content, it's AI generated and it has zero personality. It has no real connection to who they are or what they're building in the first place. And as a result, these founders, they aren't building that loyal community. And we all know that without that audience, without that loyal community, you're not building a brand that people can trust to back you or your product. So personal branding for me, it's a science, but it's also an art. But most importantly, it requires two things. The first one is intentionality, and the second one is strategy. So every post, every word, every comment that you put out there, that has to serve a purpose and get you an ROI. Sherry is going to dive deeper into this in a minute, but authenticity, precision, defensibility, specificity, these are everything. And before I hand over the mic to Sherry, I would just like to throw in some facts because everybody loves numbers. So CEOs with a strong personal brand, they're twice as likely to attract investors and top talent. And for entrepreneurs, an intentional personal brand can lead up to a 27% higher profitability. It can reduce CAC by almost 66% and can increase your CTR and CTLV significantly. And we all know here that, these aren't just some vanity metrics. These are real business critical numbers that actually impact your bottom line.
Yes, and now comes the most important question. How do you make your content stand out? So there are few key things that you could take care of, and the first is align your content with your customer's journey for maximum impact. And I keep saying this even in my post, don't write what you want to share, write what your ICP wants to read. You got to focus on their problems, their desired language, instead of just plainly promoting your solutions. Tap into their current pain points and future aspiration. I'll give an example. Let's say if your ICP is IT managers and they're struggling with cybersecurity challenges. So when you write a hook, it should directly address their pain points. So it should be something like, let's say, 60% of, because of cyber attacks, right? 60% of companies faced cyber attacks last year. IT managers who failed to protect their assets struggled to pinpoint these gaps. See, notice how I added numbers, triggered the pain points, and added job function to filter the right audience. And it also piqued their curiosity at the end. So adding defensible numbers, addressing your ICP's job function, it could drastically increase your open rate. In fact, there was this recent study that showed that when you put a job function in the hook line itself, it lifts your open rate by 34%. So defensible numbers and addressing your job, ICP's job function is super important. And I feel the next thing that most people overlook is precision in the word choice. Word precision is key, and decision makers, they have limited time. So you got to make each and every word count, right? You got to be very specific with your choice of words. Again, I'll just give you a brief example. So let's say you read a hook line that says, here's how to increase engagement. Now I'm just gonna think increase engagement in what? In the webinar, on my YouTube video, on stage when I'm speaking, what kind of engagement do you mean? That's vague, right? So instead, let's say if you write something like, here's how marketing directors can boost website traffic by 40% in 3 months. Now that grabs attention. Notice how I added job function, marketing directors, and added specificity, website traffic. So that's a kind of engagement. By 40% in 3 months, that's numbers. So now this clearly and precisely reflects your intent. So you attract the right audience who are interested in what you have to say, what you have to say and you have to offer. That's how you qualify your audience.
I love how you guys do what you guys do with personal branding versus everyone else that will use vague words, that will say the things you've heard for the last 20 years. When you guys will go in with a client, I love that it's, let's analyze what this client's ICP is. Let's figure out the starting words, and then let's go more and more word precise. Let's add the numbers. Let's add the dates, right? Let's add the things like the job function, right? And job function is an example of identity, right? So I love that you guys throw that in there, because like if I were to post online and say, hey, Sherry is XYZ, Samridhi is XYZ, right? You guys are probably going to read that post because you guys see your name in there, right? And so when you guys are mentioning job function, I love that because it's an example of identity, right? When somebody feels their identity is called out, they're more likely to read that post because they feel like it's for them, right? So if I say, hey, in the hook line, this is about CEOs, CEOs XYZ, a CEO with the identity of I'm a CEO is going to feel called out, versus if I just say this is how you grow your company. Well, is the CEO going to read that? Is the CMO going to read that? And if you're trying to be so general that you want to pull in everybody, you're going to pull in nobody, right? So like I love your guys' posts. I think for anybody watching this video that has not seen your guys' posts yet, they are so crisply written, which is also why I have referred founders to you guys, because founders, the CEOs that I'm consulting, they don't have necessarily time to do all these things. And so for you guys to be able to service in the way that you guys do helps the returns for like when we go and invest in companies and we want to get massive returns, we want to connect them with different engineering partners, marketing partners, personal branding partners, etc. And you guys do really, really well with that. So I love how you guys do that, really, really crisp. Yeah, just want to reiterate, you guys being able to dive in like that to talking to a CEO or an investor, whoever you want a personal brand, looking at exactly who do they want to bring in, and then you guys being able to identify how to talk to that person, right? Ignoring maybe what is in the thought of the CEO or the investor, and just looking at what is in the ICP's mind of that particular person, and then you guys being able to do that from there. That's what a lot of people need to do. And there's so much depth to actually doing personal branding correctly, like you guys do it, that it is actually it's a full-time job. And when a CEO is getting started or in the scaling phases, you need to be able to delegate these things out so that you can still get them done right. So I love everything you guys are doing. What else would you guys add in, maybe a little bit more, 30 seconds each or whatever, more at the end of the video? What else would you guys add that you guys are seeing often coming up with your guys' clients? You guys have pulled in $80,000, $100,000 customers for clients. What are some of those things you guys are seeing, and you guys are coming in and saying, hey, here's this common problem that is here, and what is the common fix you guys kind of jump in with?
I think one thing that has worked really well for a lot of our clients is testimonials about the CTA. I mean, if you want to increase your conversion rate, place your testimonials above your call to action. So they can raise your CVR by 27%. And actually, the stats are based on the study done by Jay Schwedelson. He is the founder of Subject Line and president and CEO of Outcome Media. And speaking about why does this work, because testimonials establish trust, and when you provide social proof, it assures your potential customers, right? Because when they see that credible endorsement, their confidence surges and driving them to act. And you gotta leverage your social proof everywhere. Social proof isn't just for websites or landing pages, it's essential for LinkedIn as well. Try embedding them in testimonials or case studies or real client results directly into your posts. In comments or in featured section, even in your about section. So if you look at our about section, we have done that as well. For post, you can write something like, let's say if you're a sales coach, then you could write something like, here's how a sales manager I worked with increased their team's sales by 40% in just 3 months without spending on ads. Now, do you see how I'm showing my credibility? By doing this, you're not just talking, you're proving, which adds credibility to your content and also educating your audience. So you're attracting the audience, you're showing your credibility, and you're proving your thought leadership. That is important, and that has worked so well for our clients. Like one of our clients, like you mentioned, he got 80K lead through LinkedIn, inbound, just through content, and the same month he got 20K leads. So that month he got pulled in around 100K worth lead through LinkedIn. And that's
the person who approached him didn't know anything about him apart from his presence on LinkedIn. And he was from Sweden and the client was from Australia. So you can literally reach to any part of the globe.
I love it. Thank you guys for coming to chat. I know we have so much more that we could talk about, but we're at the LinkedIn limit. So thank you guys so much for coming and chatting today.
Thank you.
Thank you.